Well, hello, welcome to this week's video. And I'm going to be talking about what's stopping you from finding your soul purpose, or asking, could you be blocking yourself from finding it, perhaps? Well, we're going to be talking about all of that, what you need to know about it. So welcome to this week's video. It's the 29th of May, 2023. I'm Karen from KarenTurpin.com, if you don't already know who I am. Now, so many of us search for our soul purpose. If you call yourself a healer, a light worker, a starseed, an awakened one, it's very common within our group of people to search for our soul purpose, to find out what we're here for, what we're here to do, what we're here to share. And actually, some people search for years and years to find what that soul purpose really is. But actually, they might be already just on the edge of really discovering that, but blocking themselves from seeing it. Now, I know that you might resist me saying that, but the truth of it is, I've worked with many people over the years, and we've discovered that we unconsciously do block ourselves from seeing our bigger purpose. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that as we go through. Now, some of us believe that our life will maybe suddenly become dramatically better when we find our soul purpose. And we think our life is going to change and everything's going to be instantly amazing. And it might be. But other people fear that change. And then we unconsciously block ourselves from ever finding it or believing that we found it. Now, alternatively, we might naturally find ourselves on the right path, but we unconsciously limit ourselves from fully stepping into the depth of it. So we're running on a very limited version of our soul purpose. Now, I remember many years ago watching an episode of Absolutely Fabulous, with Patsy and Adina. I used to love that show. It's many years ago. It might even be before your time. You'll have to look it up on YouTube. But there was this episode where they had rented a chateau in France for a week or so. They arrived at the caretaker's cottage in the grounds. Limited French they had. They were English speakers. And the cottage was empty. And they presumed they'd arrived at the right place because they showed up at that address. So they looked no further. It was a large stone building. It was at the right address. They presumed that that was exactly where they needed to be. Now, it wasn't quite as they'd imagined, admittedly. I think there was a fair amount of moaning and groaning about this isn't what we paid for, that kind of thing. I'd have to revisit the episode to be exact. But whatever it was, they just accepted it. Well, this wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be, but it's the right address, it's a cottage, it's empty, it seems to be waiting for us, so they moved right on in. Now, as the episode progressed, right at the end, I think one of them spoke to the caretaker and, it became evident that they were not in the right place at all. And in fact, had they walked further up the driveway, they would have found a magnificent chateau. But they had missed that completely because they had settled for where they were and for what they thought they were going to get. That was all. Now, I see this often. People touch on their soul purpose and they think they've arrived. They think that's it. Now, admittedly, it can take time to find the fullness of your soul purpose. Maybe we never do, because in my experience, it continues to evolve as we evolve. But I definitely do see many people settling for the cottage, so to speak, when they really could have had the chateau. So I have a bit of a skill of seeing what's possible for people. If they open up to their fullest potential I can help them get really aligned to that so that they literally can take on the fullness of their soul purpose. But people have to want that for themselves first. They have to be receptive. They have to be willing to work on themselves to step up to the next level. But what I often see is, as a metaphor, people holding on very tightly to that little cottage, thinking that they've arrived and this is all there is. Now, don't get me wrong, because some people have beautiful cottages, but there's much more waiting for them if they were willing to look for it. So what stops people looking for the bigger purpose? And in fact, what stops people finding their purpose in the first place? Well, firstly, because they think they've arrived and they think they've found their life's work. What they offer is valuable. They are helping people. But what they don't see often is that they are holding themselves there. They are actually limiting themselves there. Some people are afraid to step into their soul purpose. They see it as big and scary. As I mentioned before, they think, well, my life is going to change hugely, and there's fear there, right? Some people tell themselves that they don't really know what they're here to do. And they kind of stay in that headspace of not knowing, of the constant searching, rather than going inward to discover the contents of their own heart and soul, really. So they're in a kind of holding pattern that says, oh, I'm searching, when really they're just on the edge of finding, if they would just, do the necessary work to go in and really tune in and get the guidance from their heart and soul. Some people actually know what they're here to do, and they deliberately ignore all the signs and the invitations to step in, because they know that if they follow that path, their life will change. And some people are literally just unwilling to make the necessary changes. So there's unconscious fear there usually. And usually when I work with someone like that and we discover what the unconscious fear is, it's usually very small and minimal anyway. We fear this big scary monster in the cupboard, but actually when we open the cupboard, usually it's something fairly small that it can be easily overridden. So again, I find that people are holding themselves back unconsciously, and then when they see what they've done, they're like, oh my goodness, why did I do that? It's that kind of thing. Anyway, some people really want to follow their path. They really want that. They believe they really want that. But actually, they put obstacles in their own way. The obstacles appear real, but actually what's happening here is that the person is unconsciously sabotaging themselves. So they say it's because of money, they say it's because of work, because of timing, because they've got kids to look after, because, they're looking after elderly parents. And all of these things are real. I'm not saying, abandon all your responsibilities and throw caution to the wind. And, I'm not saying that. I appreciate that we all have things going on in our life that we believe stop us from fully stepping into our soul purpose. But what if there's room for both? What if you can do it your way? What if you will feel more fulfilled in life than you could ever imagine because you embrace your soul purpose? We're not asking you to just turn your back on everything and walk away. I mean, certainly that was my fear. My fear was, wow, if I step into my soul purpose, Do I have to leave my husband? I was married to someone else then. But will I have to leave my husband? Will I have to leave my children? Will I have to turn my back on my family? Will I have to become some hermit woman in the woods? Or, I had these fears that if I step into my soul purpose, what will be asked of me? And there was fear that. But, I noticed that over the years when I decided to embrace my soul purpose, that there is a natural unfoldment of my personal path, directly linked with the level of, you could call it progress, but personal development. So many, many, many years ago now, I opened a Reiki healing center. And I thought that's what I was here to do. I thought I was here to help people with Reiki. And that was great. And I was helping people. So there's no disgrace in that. No judgment if that's where you are right now. But it evolved for me. It evolved into other modalities and other therapies. And whilst all of that was good, what I didn't realize for a long time was that there was an underlying theme, not just in the healing techniques that I was using, but it was a theme that ran through the whole of my life, actually. This theme ran through my beliefs. It ran through what I would stand up for. It ran through my interests, my passion, my heartache. It was all connected. And when I put all of those pieces together, bringing all of those pieces together in my understanding of how they were all connected, it was so profound that it literally validated the whole of my existence. Now, it actually took me a while to integrate it. There were tears, and the integration of it, and what felt like an explosion of my heart with joy of the realization of, oh my goodness, everything I've gone through in my life was to bring me to this understanding. And it was profound. It was absolutely amazing, I've got to say. Now, last year I created a course called Authentically You. And all of my experience and understanding of how to find your soul purpose, at a really deep level, it literally poured into that course. And I didn't expect that at all. When I decided to create a course, I didn't exactly think I was going in a different direction, but I didn't think I was going to be putting something as profound as this in the course. And of course, I had to walk that path first and experience that for myself. And it was pretty amazing. So I didn't expect that would be going into a course that I would create. Didn't really even realize it was something you could teach, to be honest, until that point. But it naturally poured in. And I realized why so many of us don't ever find our soul purpose, or the real depth of it anyway. Because it's intrinsically linked with our deepest core wound as well. And it's painful to go there. It's kind of like a paradox, really, that our deepest pain will be directly connected and will activate our highest, most expansive purpose. I think that's pretty amazing, actually. And then the bonus of that is perfect alignment and flow with our personal divine abundance. So it was an absolute magical realization for me. And it showed me once again the importance of doing our inner work and continuing to grow and evolve. What I've seen is that so many healers and light workers sacrifice themselves for their clients' healing. Many believe that it's their job to clear other people's stuff or clear planet stuff. Now, there's an aspect of that that's true, But I also see it as a limiting belief that is imposed upon many people from some of the New Age teachers, to be perfectly honest. So what happens when we sacrifice ourselves for our clients? Firstly, we're probably unconscious that we're doing that, which is a problem. But then we actually run out of steam when it comes to our own development. Some of us get so bogged down by our clients' pain and trauma that we can literally sink under the weight of it. We are literally processing everybody else's stuff just to try and keep our head above water. And we never get the energy or the time to actually work on our own stuff. And then we have the belief that we're here doing good. Well, we kind of are, because we're helping others, and it's promoted service to others, right? And then we take on the mistaken belief that that's the way it should be. We shouldn't be selfish, service to self, and do our work. But that's when all of these messages get really mixed up and skewed, because there's truth in all of them when approached, in the right way. So what happens for many healers and light workers is that we almost become so devoted to our clients' needs that we forget our own, and that's very detrimental to us. We also then get so connected with what's going on a planetary or a global level that we then start taking on the clearing and the processing of all of that, the grids and the mass consciousness and all of that. We also get involved then with karmic superimposition, what is placed upon us from others that's not directly our own. So we think we're being of service, and we kind of are in a way, but we are not really helping ourselves in that process. And there's, as I say, a lot of mixed up messages going on. Other people then won't find the full depth of their soul purpose because they distract themselves with some of the New Age bliss experiences and the pretty things that go along with the New Age, the crystals and things. Now, don't get me wrong, I wear crystals, I love crystals, but some people get really distracted with it. And again, I will say my classic statement is, just because you put abundance crystals in your bra, you're not going to be a millionaire. We'll talk about that another day. You may have heard it before, I say it a lot. Anyway, the truth is, to fully embody your soul purpose, you have to have a deep connection with your soul. You have to go into your wounds. You have to clear that in order to find your true essence. You are here to develop a strong spiritual backbone. You have to, if you want to fully be on your path and be of service, in a sense. So you have to face yourself. You have to face the dark parts of you. You have to face your anger, and it's okay to feel that anger coming up. Don't suppress it. You have to face your shadow. You have to look at where you are fragmented. Soul fragmentation is a real thing. You have to look at that and reclaim and heal your parts back so that you can witness all of these broken parts within yourself. That's not to say you are broken by any means, but we have these hurt parts. Dissociation is real, soul fragmentation is real, and we have to dig into that and actually love ourselves, witness it, and love ourselves enough to bring ourselves back into wholeness. We have to work through acceptance, forgiveness, and surrender to the divine part of you. And that is the part that is here to fulfill a most magnificent purpose. But until we look at all aspects of ourselves, we can't really fully embrace that and step onto our true purpose and mission, our soul purpose. There is a reason that you are here, and you have something unique to bring to the world and to share with others. But where you find it is often in those dark places within yourself where you're often not willing to look. So you get the edge of what you're here for. But if you dig in, that's when you find the full depth and the full power of that comes through. That's the authentic part of you. And that is your soul purpose. You'll find it there. It's all together. So, of course, if you would like to explore this further with me, please reach out. The door is opening to my course called Authentically You. In a couple of weeks' time, I have early bird discounts. I've got a very special offer for anyone that signs up within the first 48 hours of the doors opening. And it's something you're not going to want to miss. So if you're interested in me helping you to do that, then please reach out to me, DM me, Facebook or Instagram. It's Karen Turpin, Energy Coach. And if this video has been helpful to you, please like and subscribe, because that way YouTube shares it with more people who might be interested, and share it with your friends if it's been helpful to you. That's it from me today, I think. Let me just also mention that on the 8th of June, I have a class coming up online, and we're going to be talking about consciousness traps. This, in a way, we could say is kind of connected to what I've talked about today, because the consciousness traps are kind of diversions for our consciousness and awareness. And again, what we're looking at with our soul purpose, with becoming authentically you, with being who you truly came here to be. I said that wrong, didn't I? Being who you came here to be, doing what you came here to do. You know what I'm talking about. All of that is connected with bringing all parts of yourself back and loving yourself into wholeness. It's not about having parts of your consciousness somewhere else, trapped, disconnected. We're talking about wholeness here, bringing everything back into wholeness so that you can be divinely who you came here to be. Anyway, I hope it's given you some things to think about today. Please reach out if you would like my help and support with anything. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.